Criticizing yourself is one of the easiest things you can do, one of the hardest things to overcome, but it's important to remember that your worst critic is yourself. When it comes to thinking about things we don't like about ourselves or things we wish we hadn't done in the past, it can be easy to fall into a cycle of resentment not only toward yourself but also towards others. When it comes to thinking about the issues you're going on with or that you're dealing with, um, sometimes it can be hard to view it from a perspective that validates your emotions while also acknowledging the perspective of others. And I think that's a place where a lot of people go wrong, and it's not something that everyone can do. When you take a look at your situation in life and you see what you have around you, it's easy to think or easy to yearn for what you don't have, what you can be missing out on. But it's also important to remember that the present moment is worth more than we will ever realize, and it's ultimately not worth getting caught up in the past or in the future. It's not worth the cost of losing the present moment. And going back to what I said about being able to recognize that your situation in life isn't something to be downplayed, but rather something to be acknowledged and understood not only from your perspective, but the perspective of others. Understanding that can help remind you that your issues are just as real as anyone else's, as trivial as they may seem to you. Of course, there will always be things going on in the world. There will always be people who suffer more than others, but we shouldn't get caught up in the fact that that does exist because it always will exist. We shouldn't let that overtake or consume what we view or how we view our emotions and our issues. As, like I said, as trivial as they may seem, your issues are your issues, and there's something you have to deal with, regardless of what's going on around you. And that leads us to think about just the world in general and everything that goes on in it. Like I said, there will always be things going on in the world, and although it can feel easier to focus on the negative than the positive, and though it can feel that other suffering is so much more aggravated than your own, there's only so much you can do about the state of the world, whereas you can attempt, at least, to not necessarily overcome, but face the issues you're dealing with. There will always be something going on in the lives of others, in the lives of your friends, your family members, in the lives of strangers. But you shouldn't downplay the issues you're going through, the emotions you're feeling, and the thoughts you're having, just because it exists, because it always will. I was having a conversation with my friend about this, and, well, obviously it's easy to trivialize our own issues in light of the issues going on around us, or in light of events that have happened in the past, atrocities that have occurred in the past, the immense suffering that other people have had to go through. It's so easy to trivialize our emotions and our experiences and our issues in light of those things, but we can't expect to ever overcome those issues or expect to be better unless we recognize that as trivial as we may perceive them, they will continue to exist until we face them. And how does this manifest itself? It can manifest itself in various ways. Like I said, resentment toward the self, resentment toward others, a longing for what might have been, a consumption with the past. And as easy it is to get used to that mode of thinking, as accustomed as we are to living in that way of living, it's something we have to acknowledge at the end of the day. And it's not something we can simply escape by downplaying what we have going on. It's so easy to think about, or at least get caught up in the past and the future and the things going on around us, that it feels as though we don't have time to focus on ourselves or to address our issues, even though we may want to. We may want to address the things that have been bugging us, that have been weighing on us, that have been depressing us. But it genuinely can feel unimportant, insignificant compared to our daily responsibilities. Yeah, it's important to remember that at the end of the day, we're all just trying to get through the day. Including you, including ourselves. We all go through issues, but just because your issues are different from someone else's doesn't mean they're not real. Doesn't mean you can't view them as something real and acknowledge that. We also can't expect to better ourselves if we can't manage to recognize that, or at least, just acknowledge it. And you never really know what's going on in someone else's life or in someone else's head. And I think that's a fact that has only gotten truer over time, at least in my experience. It's easy to think that nothing matters and that no one cares. Maybe it's because you've gotten distant from your loved ones, because things haven't been going well for you at work or at school or with whatever you have going on. It can be easy to feel that the world's against you, and it can be easy to view everyone around you as hostile. And that's something I've experienced myself. But there are always two sides to an equation. There are always two faces to a coin. It really does depend on how you decide to view it. On the one hand, you can view this reality as something depressing, as something that you will never be able to overcome, something that will only grow worse over time. Or you can view it as something almost liberating. Sure, no one cares. Everyone's so absorbed with whatever they have going on, especially in places where individualism is highly valued. But where you decide to view it as something, discouraging, something disillusioning, or something that you can accept and almost find relief in. We're constantly looking for moments of reprieve, for a way to escape from the realities of life. And although it is good to take a break from everything going on around you, it is good to do what you enjoy doing, to escape through your passions, your hobbies, or even just the simple things. Looking within yourself and recognizing what's been holding you back, what's been weighing on you. Facing those things is something inevitable. The time will eventually come where you have to face those things, no matter how long you've procrastinated. And with that comes the consequence of having procrastinated in the first place, or the consequences. We can take a cycle one finds oneself in. For example, if you're in a situation where you feel like you have nothing to complain about really, there's nothing seriously wrong going on, but you still feel down, it's hard to validate those emotions. It's easy to view other people's issues and feel lucky that you're not in their position. But that will always exist. And the sooner we recognize that, and the sooner we come around to the things going on in our lives and the issues we have going on, the sooner we can come closer, at least, to finding a certain liberation, to freeing ourselves of those burdens, freeing ourselves of those thoughts. So, if there's one thing to take away from this video, it's that although there are countless different things going on a daily basis, although there's so much suffering that seems greater than yours, although there have been events in the past that seem atrocious, that don't compare with what you're going with right now, those things will always exist, and you will always have your problems at the end of the day. And the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you can at least come close to facing them and finding a certain liberation, and perhaps trying to view things in a different light. So just remember that.